Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Who have we got? I'm just trying to see who's actually in the chamber. I think I can see Peter, Katrina and Malcolm.
Correct. That's it.
And the rest of us are all being remote.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, tēnā koe Roger, tēnā koe Laura,
Tēnā koe.
Iniwai, kei te pia Iniwai, kei te mau koe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, kei te pai ahau nai nei. Yeah. Cam's tummy bug. It
Yeah,
passed
ka
through.
araha.
Kia ora.
Hello, Craig. Kia ora. How are you? Is that everyone? Is that everyone we're expecting?
I believe so. We're now broadcasting as well.
All right. Well, perhaps I'm just trying to turn up the agenda. Sorry, I've been scurrying around where I am. Roger, would you be willing to lead us in a karakia?
Okay, kia ora.
Tata?
Tēnā tātou katoa I roto te kaupapa o te wānei. Tēnā I tātou. E te matua kaharawa, tēnā mātou au panongo e nei ki a koe. Tō mātou he te matua ki te tata mai koe ki a mātou. Hei awhine tia haere taki mātou. I ngā kōrero, I ngā mahi e mui a mātou tini ahi ahi. E te matua I ngā wāka tō mai haia. Mātou hei karorea tau I ngō tapu. We hear krati hoki tō mātou ariki. Āmene.
Amen. Thank you very much. Now, do we have any notices? Oh. Do we have any apologies, perhaps, from Rick? Councillor Barker?
I haven't received any.
No apologies received. Well, that's reasonably straightforward. Conflict of interest declarations. I might just table that, and it's one of the reasons, one of the appointment recommendations is the way that it is, that my employee in my barrister's practice, as I came to understand, had actually prepared one of the submissions for Mangharuru Tangitu Trust, of which he's also an employee, that is subject of the hearing for the Tangoya application. So I just thought I'd put that on the table as a matter of disclosure, and perhaps just leave that there, but it is the reason why I'm certainly not, and I don't think anyone else is proposing that I be involved in that hearing, once that had come to my attention at least. All right. Okay, perhaps if that could just be noted, I think that's all that we do need to do. Now, the next item is to confirm the minutes of the last hearings committee meeting that we had back in March, which was notable for the appointments made, but equally for the discussion held on the encouragement of appointment of tangata whenua commissioners and the advice we received around managing conflicts in that context. Let's just see who was present. Would anyone be willing to move that those are a true and correct record, Craig or Hiniwai?
Happy to move, Chair.
Craig, would you be willing to second by chance?
Yes, I will. Not even by chance, quite deliberately. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Carried. Okay. The first decision item, the appointment of a commissioner for a hearing panel to hear applications for wastewater discharges for a group of properties at Tangoya. Now, Malcolm or Katrina, would you like to speak to that paper?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Malcolm Miller here. So this is suggesting putting forward Paul Cooney as the chair and Councillor Hinawai Ormsby as the second commissioner for that panel. It's for a group of properties that are seeking discharge permits individually on each property at a new subdivision in the Tangoya area. It was limited notified. MTT are submitters, and they're the only submitters, and they wish to be heard, so it needs to go to a hearing.
Are there any questions on the paper? Councillor Foss.
Just a quick one. Do we anticipate, without prejudging anything, are there any, other than the normal functionary issues, is there any contentious issues anybody's aware of that make this any different to anything else? Or is it just, as you described it, as a group of residents looking to do that? There's no larger issues at play?
Not that we're aware.
No.
Thank you.
My understanding it is the cultural implications of the wastewater discharge elements of the subdivision in a reasonably conventional context.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Is there any discussion about the appointment, or would someone like to put the motion, perhaps other than me?
I'm happy to move.
Yeah, I'll second that, Roger.
Thank you very much. Right. All in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Nope. Carried. All right. The next matter is the appointment of Commissioner deciding applications for a lapse date extension by Water Holdings Limited. Katrina or Malcolm, do you wish to speak to that paper?
Yes, I'll speak briefly. So this is recommending an individual commissioner to decide this matter. It's not your conventional resource consent application, and it's not a notified application, but because of Regional Council's association with these consents in the past, we thought it would be wise to keep it independent of the Regional Council. So we've sought a commissioner. We've got David McMahon recommended. He's available, willing, but he has no connection with the applications. He's from out of the region, but he's also the package of consents include consents that were granted by Hastings District Council and Central Hawke's Bay. So to obtain lapse date extensions for the whole package, they actually need to by the district as well. And they're happy to have David McMahon as the commissioner to serve them as well.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Questions, Mr. Dr. Mark.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, look, I'm not actually conflicted here, but I am a local and have been involved in local discussions. So I would abstain from any of this discussion that you're about to have.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Marker. So are there any questions on the paper?
Chair.
Councillor Ormsby.
Kia ora, Chair. Yeah, thank you for the paper. My query about the commissioner that's been recommended is, what particular experience were you looking for in appointing someone other than the independence and the availability? What other credentials would suit a type of hearing like this, and will it be met by the recommended commissioner?
I guess the key thing for this is that it's an RMA process. We were looking for someone with basically legal RMA planning sort of understanding to be able to process, someone who I think was going to be reasonably particular about the detail. We believe that the person who's recommended has good experience basically across the board, both at district and regional decision-making levels when processing resource consents.
Can I just add to that, Chair? There is quite a body of existing case law on lapse date extensions, and the Commissioner who hears this, as Malcolm said, needs to have good understanding of that at both from a RMA planning perspective, in addition to being able to work at the district council and regional council level.
Yeah, like I would just, I'll come to you in a second, Councillor Foss. I'll just add to that this is not an application, to my understanding, that's got anything to do with whether the Ruataniwha Dam is a good idea or not. It has nothing to do with the merits of it. It is simply what I would call a technical stroke planning stroke legal decision on whether the tests under section 125 of the RMA as to whether substantial progress has been made towards implementing the consents within the period to this point, and in line with that case law that Katrina's just referenced. So I imagine there's a body of information addressing those statutory criteria relative to case law, and it would be within that quite narrow rubric that the decision would fall to be made on extending the lapsing date or otherwise. Councillor Foss.
Thank you, and acknowledge and agree with all the points you've made. Thanks very much. Just para 6 and 7. Could someone describe just if CHB, Central Hawke's Bay District Council, and Hastings District Council, are they party to this? Are they having to go through the same approval, or are they just watching with interest? Because para 7 implies the proposal is to engage one commissioner to consider, and I'm not sure if that means all the consents or just the ones that the regional council are holding. Just for information, if Malcolm or someone can address that, please.
Yes, they've applied for a lapse date extension for all consents, including the district council consents. The district councils have to make their own delegation of functions to the commissioner. So they do that independent of us, but he'll carry a delegation from the regional council, Central Hawke's Bay, and from Hastings District Council, and address it as a whole.
So when the findings come out or a recommendation comes out, is that the regional council will take that on board and chew it over and make some decisions, I'm sure. Will Hastings and Central also have a mutually exclusive path, or are we making essentially going to come together? Or let me turn it around. Is it possible that the regional council may decide, okay, we'll extend these to X, but the other two district councils say no, they are going to expire as scheduled? Or can that happen, or not?
No,
What I think Malcolm's explaining, Councillor Foss, is that Mr. McMahon would decide for both the district council and the regional council whether the respective district and regional council permits are extended or not. End of.
Correct.
In other words, that would be the determination, including for the designation, I imagine.
And then those bodies are independent. They may come up with the same acceptance or not, or challenging it or not. But so that's where it all comes back through the needle right there with that finding from him for all three councils.
Yes.
Sorry,
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
We're asking him to make a decision on this. So his decision is basically the final decision beyond the rights of appeal, objection or appeal that could apply.
Yes. Thank you. Good reminder. Okay, thanks, Chair.
That's right. And just to clarify there, Councillor Foss, I think this is an element of your question as well. There's no other parties that have any right of participation in this decision, district council or otherwise. It is a decision that's been delegated to the Commissioner for an application made by Water Holdings alone. All right. Okay, so that's questions on the paper. Is there any discussion on the paper before we move to the recommendations? Bye. All right. I haven't done much in terms of putting things on the table, so I would like to move, if I may, recommendations 1 to 4. Would someone like to second that?
Happy to second. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Ormsby. All in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Roger Mark has abstained. Mark has abstained. Okay, that's carried.
Can I just note, Chair, in the item before the one we've just decided on that there was no discussion from me, and it was natural for me to abstain as I was one of the commissioners appointed. Just of note, thank you.
Good point. I think I got sent out of the room once in a similar situation for my own safety, but
We've actually
I mean,
got
it's
another-
inherent in the
Me out
process.
the room.
It's inherent in the process.
Yes,
That's
thank
right.
you. Great to clarify.
All right. Now we have finished the business of the meeting. Can I have a volunteer, please, for a closing karakia? Laura, would you like to do a closing karakia? Oh, Councillor Ormsby.
Oh, kia ora, Chair. O tēnei te mahi kia koutou katoa, me inoi kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te ata whai tō tātou ariki o ihu karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhi ngā tahitanga ki te wairua tapu, ake, āmeni.
Āme.
Āmeni.
Kia ora.
Kia pai tō wikiniki koutou.
Ai.
Bye-bye.
Kia ora, and thank you for convening this meeting.
17